and giving them food and showering them with the love of God, basically. So that's what I was doing prior to my encounter with the Lord. I also had been praying, if I'm honest. I was saying, Lord, take me to heaven. I want a heavenly experience with you. I want to experience heaven, because I do know somebody who's been taken to heaven. And I've listened to all the testimonies of other people who've been taken to heaven, and I really I really wanted that. So I did ask the Lord to take me to heaven, but he didn't. He came down to me instead. So I wasn't expecting this day at all. I wasn't expecting it this day. So this particular day, I was in a town by the sea in Ireland on the east coast called Blackrock, a town that I normally am never in. I'm just never in. The only connection I have to this particular town is that somebody on my dad's side of the family used to live there years ago, and he was an entrepreneur, he was a businessman, a successful businessman, but I've no other connection to this particular town, and I can't even remember why I was there that day, to be quite frank. But I was there, and in the village there's a shopping centre called the Frascati Shopping Centre, and I was at a certain part on the pathway, and I was about to cross the road, and something in me wouldn't let me cross the pedestrian road. So I kind of just turned around, my body just turned around, and I was suddenly taken about 10 meters, like zoop. Okay, it was really fast and it was really quick, but I was taken from this particular point right to this particular point in front of a man who was sitting there outside the shopping centre, not right at the entrance, nearer the pathway, and he was sitting there, and I was suddenly in front of him. So I had no intention of actually going up to him, but I was suddenly taken and translated to him. It was like a white light, like zoop, is the only way I can describe it, all right? So very quickly, I'm in front of him. And as I'm in front of him and I'm looking at him, and he didn't say a word to me, but I'm looking at him and I'm saying to him, I don't have any money to give you, but what I can give you is the name of this place in Dublin called Merchants Quay, where I also used to work there in the cafe, behind the cafe, giving, helping the homeless. I also used to do that many years ago as well. So I was writing down the name of Merchants Quay in Dublin for this man who was sitting in front of me. Okay, and as I wrote the address, as I was writing the address of this particular homeless shelter where they could get food and drink, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and he said, this man does not need anything. He doesn't need this. He doesn't need this information. And as I looked at him, it sort of boom, realization came upon me of who was actually sitting in front of me. So this might sound strange because initially I didn't recognize him, but this is actually quite biblical because it's many years ago since this happened to me, and it's a very personal thing to share, to be quite frank. It's not something I really wanted to share, if I'm really honest, but the Lord wants you to hear this. When I looked at him, when the Holy Spirit spoke to me and I looked at him, I saw Jesus. He is absolutely beautiful. When he looks at you with liquid love. Okay, it's the only way I can describe it. He is absolutely flawless physically. He has the most beautiful, perfect skin. He has brown hair. He has a brown beard, not a big bushy one, but a brown beard, and he has long hair. Not really long down here, long hair. He has stunningly beautiful eyes. His eyes absolutely are beyond anything you have ever seen in your entire life. And that's what I mean. When he looks at you like you're the most precious, beautiful thing that he's ever seen in his entire life. And he sees no sin. He just sees perfection. And of course, and his eyes are a bluey greeny color. They're not brown. They're bluey greeny, and you could literally swim in his soul because his soul is absolutely perfect. I never got to see his teeth, but I would presume they're absolutely perfect. But what I can tell you is Jesus is stunningly beautiful, but he's also quite plain. That might sound like a contradiction in terms, but it's not. And that's how it amazes me. It absolutely amazes me And you'll notice in the account of history, many people didn't recognize Jesus after he rose from the dead. And this is what the experience I had. It's like he's both stunningly beautiful, radiant beyond imagination, but also very plain. And one thing I've never heard people describe when they describe Jesus, I'm the first person to say this, is this. He has perfect symmetry in his face. It's absolutely perfect symmetry. So if you focus in on the nose of a person, you'll see the symmetry. Jesus has absolute perfect mathematical symmetry in his face. So at the moment I recognized him, I was absolutely swimming in his soul, basically, in his eyes, because the eyes are the windows to the soul. And it was absolutely amazing. So when I wrote the piece of paper, this is all happening very fast, you have to remember. And also behind Jesus was a plaque. And on the plaque, it had the word Wolfe Tone. And Wolfe Tone in Ireland was one of the great revolutionaries of our time. And the Lord for my life has told me to look at St. Patrick and Wolfe Tone and Jeanne d'Arc for my life. And here was the plaque of Wolfe Tone sitting right behind Jesus. So he was sitting there and he said nothing to me, but when I handed him the piece of paper, the moment I handed him the piece of paper with the name of the homeless place that he, and I knew the Holy Spirit had already spoken to me, this man doesn't need this. What happened to me when I handed him and he took the piece of paper was lightning bolts just shot through me like vroomf, 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 vroomf. It was absolutely incredible. I've never experienced anything like it in my entire life. All I can describe it is like lightning bolts, because it was just like lightning going from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet and then up again and down again and up again and down again and up again. It was released to me the moment I handed him the piece of paper and I touched his finger. And that was it. I turned around then and I didn't look back. It felt, everything happened very fast, but it also felt like you're in a different place of space and time, which